What up, African family? Welcome back to the African Wahala, where we have conversations that relate to the progression of Africans and the continent of Africa. We also criticize behaviors that hold us back and we commend trailblazers. In this video, we're going to be commending a trailblazer, like I shared, like I currently share on my screen. If you guys can see the guy named Onyema Ogbuagu. Okay, Onyema Ogbuagu, all right? He's a leading research person with Pfizer, a company in the US that is a pharmaceutical company that creates drugs and vaccination and stuff like that. That company is currently one of the frontliners in the production of the the vaccination for COVID-19. And like you guys know, the COVID-19 pandemic is seriously affecting the entire world, and a lot of people are dying to get a vaccination just so that the pandemic can end. I have my own personal reservations when it comes to COVID-19, but I'm not going to try to influence anybody with my thoughts on the virus. So I'll let you think about it however way you want. Me personally, I have my reservations, but I have to commend Onyema Ogbuagu for being, one of the members of the team that is responsible for creating this vaccination that the entire world is dying for currently. And I know some of you guys might be wondering, how do I pronounce this name? Onyema. So the pronunciation of the name is Onyema Ogbuagu. Ogbu. Okay? GB is pronounced B. So it's Ogbuagu. Don't come and be bashing the man's name. All right, we're gonna quickly look through the man's profile. Here he says, okay, Pfizer and biotech had announced the first vaccine they developed against COVID-19 could prevent more than 90% of people from getting infected. The vaccine has been tested on 43,000 people in 6 countries, and no safety concerns have been raised. Pfizer was quoted as saying it will be able to supply 50 million doses by the end of 2020 and around 1.3 billion doses by 2021. But one of those leading the research at Pfizer for COVID-19 vaccine in the US is Onyema Ogbuagu, a Nigerian-born researcher and medical doctor. Ogbuagu is an associate professor in medicine in the clinical educator track and director of HIV clinical trials program for Yale AIDS program at the Yale School of Medicine. Ogbuagu is one of the twin sons of Chibuzo Ogbuagu, a former vice chancellor of Abia State University, and Stella Ogbuagu, a professor of sociology who was the best graduating student of the 1974 class of University of Nigeria, UNN. His twin brother is an engineer. Both men were born in New Haven, Connecticut, which serves as home to the Ivy League Yale University in the US. The family returned to Nigeria, where Ogbuagu studied medicine before going back to the US. Ogbuagu studied medicine at the University of Calabar, Cross River State in 2003. After graduation, he interned at Ebonyi State University Teaching Hospital, Abakaliki, and then he proceeded to intern at Mount Sinai School of Medicine, Elmhurst, New York. He rose to become chief resident at the same school, after which he became a fellow infectious disease, Yale University School of Medicine, New Haven, Connecticut. The Nigerian-born professor has led several researches in the US and Africa. He has over 6 years' experience working as a faculty of human resources for health program in Rwanda, where he mentors medical residents and junior faculty in quality improvement and clinical research projects that are locally relevant and addressing important infectious diseases related problems, particularly HIV/AIDS, and antimicrobial resistance. Okay, Ogbuagu has done a lot. Mr. Onyema has done a lot. Okay, I don't want to read through the entire profile. It seems like a lot. Okay, I'm just going to jump to the bottom. Speaking on the 90% efficacy of the Pfizer vaccine, Ogbuagu said the drug will help people achieve immunity and it will be the beginning of the end of the pandemic. That is the COVID-19 pandemic the world is currently going through. In an interview with ABC News, he said efforts are being made to assure the public of the vaccine safety as due process is being followed despite the speed in rolling out the vaccines. The vaccines would also help us achieve immunity. This could be the beginning of the end of the pandemic. Preparations are made both on government end and the distribution network, including Pfizer, who is working to have the vaccine stored at low temperature, he said. While we have been celebrating a lot about having an effective vaccine, and frankly, we have run out of emojis, a lot of work really needs to be done to reassure the community, and I hope I am doing that also, which is why I'm on the program. Anyways, this man absolutely needs to be celebrated. Mr. Ogbuagu, if you think about it, because he's an African person fighting at the front line towards the end of the vaccine, of the pandemic that the world is currently going through, the COVID-19. So for me, it's a mood of celebration because I'm glad that an African person he's also a Nigerian like myself. So that even makes me happier, right? And he's on the front line of solving a major world problem. But there is another twist to this story that makes me unhappy at the same time. You think about the fact that this man had to travel to the United States in order for him to be able to solve an issue as important as the COVID-19. Now he's being celebrated in the US. But if you think about the fact that the resolution that Ogbuagu brings to the world is more felt in the US than it is where he originates from in Nigeria, in Africa, right? And this is the case with many professionals from the continent of Africa that find their ways to other countries that have better living conditions, other countries that are more attractive for them to live and thrive and, maximize their potentials. So they leave their home countries, get to those new countries, and all of a sudden they start blossoming. That is brain drain, ladies and gentlemen. But you know what's so funny? I'm actually glad that the United States was able to harness this man's energy and use it towards solving the world's problems. Otherwise, if this man had remained in a country like Nigeria, he probably wouldn't have been able to have any impact on the world. He probably would have ended up being in another profession. Maybe he would have stopped being a doctor by now. He might have been an event manager. A lot of Nigerians get into that stuff these days because Nigerians love partying a lot. And for parties to get organized, there has to be the planning aspect, the event management aspect. So many people get into that industry of event management. And maybe that's what Onyema would have been today. He would have been an event manager or maybe someone that sells clothes on Twitter or just doing any other thing to survive. But the United States was able to harness his gifts and his talents. And now they are using it towards solving the COVID-19 problem. This is one of the reasons why the African Wahala platform exists, because we need to keep calling out the problems that we have that makes it difficult for us to move forward. How can a man, all right, from his own country, he's not being appreciated enough up until he left the country, go somewhere else in search of greener pastures, right? And now his potentials are maximized. Why should that be the case? We should all have countries within the continent of Africa that are suitable enough for us to do our thing, to blossom, to be able to have an impact with the skill sets that we were blessed with by God. You find a lot of athletes, soccer players, basketball players, boxers, so many athletes, they have natural skills and talents, but they are not able to maximize those skills and talents within their countries because there is a lack of facilities to train. There is a lack of proper understanding of these sports or these career paths that would enable them to get enough training so that they will be the best that they can be and then perform for their home countries. But that's not the case. They would end up taking those skills and talents somewhere else that is much more attractive, right? And then bless that new country. That is one of the problems that we have. It's almost like, I'm going to speak from a Nigerian point of view right now. I don't want to be generalistic and paint the entire continent of Africa the same way. In Nigeria, okay, you guys think about the fact that in Nigeria, there are so many talented, blessed people, but they are unable to shine. And then you move to the United States of America, you find out that there are many Nigerians in that country that make up the percentage of highly educated people. And with their education, they contribute heavily to the development of the United States. They contribute heavily to the growth of the economy of the United States. Meanwhile, the economy of Nigeria is currently tanking. It's been tanking since I was born, 30-something years ago. Don't be deceived about the fact that Nigeria has the biggest economy on the continent of Africa. It's a rich country. No, don't be deceived. The large size of the economy is directly proportional to the population size. Nigeria has the largest population on the continent. And it wasn't even up until recently that the size of Nigeria's economy became the largest on the continent. All these years, it had always been South Africa that has a population 1/4 the size of Nigeria. So you think about, we have a lot of educated people with master's degrees, PhDs, professors, in millions, hundreds of thousands of people have higher education, they have work experience, but for some reason, all that higher education and work experience does not translate into nation building. Why is that the case? The answer is simple. The reason why that is the case is because when you have a country that is not conducive for you to perform your duties, to showcase your skills, all right? When you don't have a country that is conducive for you to do those things, then you wouldn't find people's skills showing. I mean, you wouldn't find a reflection of the skills that people possess on the growth of the economy, on the improvement of the standards of living of the people. But then you travel to the United States automatically. I'm pretty sure you guys know this already. One of the largest, the demographic with the highest education in the United States is currently Nigerians. You can find Nigerians in sciences, in medicine, engineering, aerospace engineering, in all sorts of high-tech career paths. In the US, they are thriving, but in Nigeria, they are not thriving. The reason why that is the case is because the United States has made itself very attractive to people to come over, showcase their talents, get paid decent amount of money. And while all of that is going up, they are building the country, they are building the economy of the United States. If this man was in Nigeria, Onyema Ogbuagu, if he was working in the University of Calabar teaching hospital, whatever, if he was working in one of these government-owned hospitals, he probably would have been owed months of salary. The last time he probably got paid might have been in July of 2020 or maybe May. So you're not getting paid your salary regularly. Your working conditions are not conducive. You're in a country where when you get back home, you still have to provide basic amenities for yourself. You have to buy the generator. You have to buy the gas for the generator to get electricity in your house. You have to provide potable water. The sanitation system has to be created by you. There is no central system. It's crazy. This is why people are constantly running away. The effect of brain drain cannot only be blamed on the recipient countries. You also have to blame the countries where people are running away from. Nobody would want to leave his country if his country is decent enough for him to stay there and thrive. You just don't want to survive. It's not only about living your life, being an average person, not being able to maximize your potentials. You want to be able to maximize your potentials. This is why people are running away from Africa, bro. Or at least from Nigeria. So, man, it's quite frustrating that this is the case. And the African Wahala will never shut up talking about these issues until a lot of people are enlightened. As many people as possible will get educated and enlightened through this platform, because you need to understand that our problems are caused by us. We are the reason why these things are the case. I know sometimes we like putting all the blame on the politicians, on the leaders. I agree. To a very large extent, they should be blamed because they chose to be in those positions. Nobody forced them to be leaders. And if you want to be a leader, then you should be ready for the repercussions of being in that role. But at the same time, we, the people, we need to start doing a better job asking for what we truly deserve. We need to start holding these crazy criminal leaders accountable. We need to do that. A lot of us are so ignorant that we think that what we currently have as citizens of, let's say, Nigeria. As a citizen of Nigeria, what you have, what you're presented with to live your life with in terms of access to resources, basic amenities, standard of living, you feel like that is all what you deserve, even though your leaders are living decent lives. Your leaders are like kings. They are like mini gods in the country. Okay? But you, the regular citizens, you're treated like second fiddle, like slaves in your own country. And then millions of people are also in support of those leaders that are oppressing them. They'll be like, oh, you know, that's how God wants it to be. That's how life is designed. If you're born a poor person, there is nothing you can do about it. Just live your life. You know, let's pray to God to help us make things better. No, we need to change that approach, man. It's not working. We actually need, God has already given us the brain. God told us to go out there and dominate. He gave us the brains, the ability to do so. So it's not left for us to expect God to come change our countries for us. It's time for us to actually start holding these leaders accountable, even though we know these people are devils, without a doubt. Like what recently happened at the end of the EndSARS campaign in Nigeria, where the Nigerian army blatantly opened fire on a bunch of people, killed people, stole their bodies to hide the evidences, and denied ever being there. Up until CNN came out with an investigation exposing everybody, and then they started changing their tones. It's a crazy situation. But anyways, we need to do a better job. We, the regular people, we need to do a better job at holding these leaders accountable that creates this mess for us all. Because now we're in a situation where a lot of our countries are not even conducive enough for us to live in. So we decide to take away our skill sets and our abilities to developed countries that are properly marketed, that are well established, and then we get to those countries, we contribute to the growth and development of these countries at the expense of our own countries. I'm also a victim of this shit, by the way, because I currently don't live in Nigeria. I have taken my skill set somewhere else, because back home in Nigeria, it was so inconducive for me to live that if I was living in Nigeria at this point, I probably would have just been, you know, maybe just selling something to survive, selling phones, selling bread, selling recharge cards, that's what people do. People just do whatever it takes to survive. Nobody really hones on their skill set. Nobody tries to maximize their skill set because the country makes it inconducive. You find engineers working in banks. That is the status quo because the financial institutions are the largest employers in the country. I'm talking about Nigeria now. Real Ghana boxing. What's up, my good brother? Yeah, man. We're just talking about the brain drain effect in the world. The guy we have on screen, Onyema Ogbuagu. He's a Nigerian guy that lives in the US. He's one of the top researchers with Pfizer, a pharmaceutical company that recently rolled out COVID-19 vaccines. And it happens that one of the top researchers that led to the creation of the vaccine is Onyema Ogbuagu. And we're talking about how, if you have a country that is not conducive enough for you to thrive, then you're forced to move somewhere else in search of greener pastures. And in most cases, when that happens, that you're able to take your skill sets to those new countries, now you've created a situation where your country is lacking while your new host country is benefiting from you. And that has been the case with millions of Africans. That's why Africa's economies, the growth rate of Africa's economy is it's growing. Bro, the growth rate of the entire world's economy is growing. So let's not be overtly excited about the fact that our economy is growing in Africa, because that is the same case around the world. Okay, but the rate at which the growth rate is occurring is not um, commensurate to the amount of skills and technical know-hows that we have. That's what I'm saying. Exactly. The officials want Lear jets rather than paying professionals what they deserve to stay. Exactly. You find out that, listen, man, where this guy is from, Onyema Ogbuagu, I can tell he's from the southeastern part of the country. The governors across the board, not only in the southeastern part of the country, the governors across the board are extremely greedy bastards. These are people that, bro, can you imagine a governor having 3 private jets? An ex-governor. You have 3 private jets. You're not known to be a businessman in any capacity. You're not known to be working in any other job that pays you ridiculous amount of money that makes it possible for you to afford 3 private jets. So the only way you could have made so much money that now you have private jets all over your house is through corruption. All right. And now you, as the governor, whenever you're bored, you're sick and tired of the country, or whenever you need access to basic amenities, whenever you're sick and you need a world-class hospital to, take care of your sickness, whatever, you jump on one of those private jets that you acquired from stealing money. You fly to a European country or North American country, and then you use their developed healthcare infrastructure. Then you come back to your own country where millions of people are without no access to top class, world class infrastructure, right? You come back there and you're asking them, oh, can you guys vote me in the next election? That is the mess we are in. Our leaders have a lot of the blame, without a doubt, but we, the people, as well, we need to start holding these people accountable. And that's why the African Wahala platform exists. I feel like my only job is to enlighten as many people as possible to know that, listen, you have rights, okay? You deserve better than you're offered. And you have the natural resources and the human resources to make it happen, to make it possible for these countries, these African countries, to blossom. You have all it takes. Then why is it not happening? How come we have tons of professors? Like I said earlier, the Nigerian demographic in the US is currently the most educated in America, right? So we have all these doctors, these professors, these engineers, these MSc holders in America building the economy of America. But in Nigeria, we currently don't have one working refinery, oil refinery. Keep in mind, Nigeria's economy is monotonous. So the country strictly relies on oil exportation and exploitation and exportation, right? All the engineers that are responsible for drilling the oil, refining the oil, and turning it into consumable products are of European descent. The Shells, the Chevrons, the Mobiles, those are the companies that are responsible for oil exploration and exportation in Nigeria. Meanwhile, Nigeria has a ton of chemical engineers, petrochemical engineers, people with with master's degrees, PhDs. They are professors. Why can't they be in Nigeria and contribute towards the growth of Nigeria? The answer is simple, bro. Because Nigeria is not conducive enough for them. So I don't want to hear nothing about anybody saying, because I hear this type of talk all the time, man. Whenever I'm in the YouTube space with many woke Africans, especially Africans from the diaspora, you like saying stuff like, "Oh man, you Africans, y'all need to stop coming over here to the United States. You guys need to stop coming over here to the United States because you guys should stay over there and build your country. Stay over there, fight your government, make sure they change things." Well, let me tell you what. Let me remind you guys what. A couple of weeks ago, Nigerians took to the streets, millions of Nigerians. And this is just one example. The same thing happened in Ivory Coast. The same thing happened in Uganda a couple of days ago. Same thing has been going on in Cameroon for 3 years. Same thing has been going on in Zimbabwe for months. But I'm going to give you guys the Nigerian example. Millions of Nigerians took to the streets demanding an end to police brutality, demanding an end to bad governance. What the government did was they used the same police that Nigerians were protesting against. They used army people to shoot down Nigerians. They killed over 200 people in 2 weeks. They killed people caught on tape. It's all over social media. I don't need to be putting up graphic stuff on my channel. Go check it out yourself if you think I'm lying. They killed people that were protesting with the same tool that they were protesting against. The Nigerian army came out, shot live ammunition on protesters, and denied it the next day, up until a bunch of different independent investigators came, started conducting investigations to see what exactly happened. So when you try to make a change, you're dealing with people that are ready to shed blood in order for them to remain in power. So it's not that easy to fight against your government. That's one thing you need to understand. And when you talk about why can't you guys stay behind? Why can't you guys stay behind? Contribute your skill sets to building your country. Let me tell you why that's not going to happen. If Onyema Ogbuagu was a practicing GP in University of Calabar Teaching Hospital, I bet you guys right now he probably wouldn't have been paid his salary for like 5 months. How is he supposed to survive? It's so ridiculous, bro. The Nigerian Medical Association currently has 77,000 registered doctors in Nigeria to a population of 200 million people, which is extremely small. 77,000 doctors for 200 million people is extremely small. But then out of the 77,000 doctors, 40-something thousand are registered in different countries. They've traveled abroad because the conditions are not conducive for them in Nigeria. That's why. But anyways, I'm gonna round up right now because I didn't plan to stay here for too long. At the end of the day, I'm happy for Onyema Ogbuagu for the fact that he's able to maximize his potentials in the world. Plus, his skill set was not wasted, because if he was in Nigeria, there is a great chance that his skill set would have been wasted for life. So now the world probably would still have been struggling for the development of the vaccine for COVID-19. So I'm grateful to God for having Emmanuel Onyema's skill set harnessed by the United States. And now the skill set is a major world changer in the discovery or in the creation of a vaccination for COVID-19. So that is great. Though it's a mixed feeling, because at the same time, I realized that Emmanuel Ogbuagu is a product of brain drain, just like myself. And I wish it was the other way, but it is what it is, man. It is what it is. Up until things start changing on the continent, I'm never going to stop talking. We're going to keep putting pressure on these criminals that call themselves leaders. These people are a bunch of disgrace, point blank and period. And we, the people, we are not left out in this, man. We are not left out. A bunch of us too are hypocritical, okay? He has to do what he can, and he's even returned to Africa to have an impact. Exactly, man. This man has conducted a lot of research programs in Rwanda, in Liberia. He's had a positive impact on the continent of Africa. So I'm grateful. I'm so happy for him. Like that's exactly what we need. We need people to go develop their skill sets from wherever they are, go back to Africa, implement that skill set. If only your government allows that happen. In a country like Nigeria, where the government seems to be hell-bent on destroying the lives of the people, and it has come to a point where the people are they've also adapted to that norm. Now everybody is out there to destroy everybody. Everybody just wants to get rich at the expense of anybody else. We have a lot of work to do, man. But thank you guys for coming through. It's your boy, the African Wahala, and I'm going to be signing out right now. Peace.